Hello everybody, welcome to the Scented to Our Fragrance channel. You've come to the right place to learn about fragrances and to definitely explore them. So if you're new to my channel, you're very welcome to be here. Thank you for coming here. And if you're a subscriber, you've been here before, thank you so much for coming again. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get regular, notifications of my newest content. So let's not waste any time. Let's talk about this fragrance, how it smells, the compliment factor, the people factor, the performance, and all those great things. So let's talk about the presentation first. I won't spend a lot of time with presentation, but I do like to show it, especially when we're talking about niche fragrance, because they put extra work into it to give you a better feel overall with your fragrance. So this is just a sleeve that comes off. That's nice, and it's kind of looks about the same as the box. Instead of the text or the lettering kind of protruding there, it's kind of inset. It's kind of stamped. I like the look overall. It's a little bit classy. It's a little bit clean. Maybe it's definitely minimalist, but overall it gets the job done. I've taken the bottle out to show you, build a little suspense, but nice. It definitely is very snug in this cushiony material. There's no way your bottle's going to get loose or broken in this for sure. So the presentation is nice overall. Nothing spectacular, but certainly not bad at all. Some companies do less. So here is Carlen Parfums Men of Blame. So here it is, guys. The bottle is again a little bit minimalist, but it's classy. It's a nice shape. The cap is snug. It's kind of a dense kind of plastic material. And here's the sprayer. I'll waste a spray even though this is niche for you guys. So the sprayer is nice. As the atomizer does seem to be a tiny bit sluggish. It takes a little bit more pressure perhaps than you would think, but overall the sprayer is just fine. So let's talk about the story of Carlen Men of Blame. I can't tell you a lot about the brand itself. In the future, I would love, and I perhaps will, review another fragrance and tell you more about the brand. And Carlen, of course, you can reach out to me. I would just love that. But I'll give you a story, a little bit of Men of Blame. It's what drew me to get a sample of this fragrance and try this fragrance. Before we talk about the smell, before we talk about the people and the compliment factor, their projection, all of those things, let's talk about the story of this fragrance. So, to set the mood, the description of this fragrance talks about perhaps a middle-aged man, kind of in the dead of night, kind of with a black leather jacket, just deciding to go on a drive and to find a new experience, to find something new in his life, to explore, kind of a wanderlust kind of feel. It kind of gives some feel of some of the smells of the fragrance, kind of with smoke, and it kind of painted a good picture for you, or for me, of this fragrance. It really intrigued me. And eventually, of course, it led me to buying one of this wonderful fragrance. This personally is one of my favorite fragrances. So I just had to get it. It's very interesting and it's very different. So I'll just say that before I talk about the fragrance itself. Let's talk about the fragrance. What does it smell like? I'll do another spray on my hand to give y'all remind me of the scent even more. So guys, this fragrance is very interesting. Off the top, you're going to get some soft florals. You're going to get, but they're not irisy. It could be a little bit of heliotrope. So it's intoxicating. It's a different floral. It has a little bit of more of a weightiness to it. Those florals quickly dissipate and you get into kind of the middle of the fragrance, which is kind of the majority of the fragrance. The fragrance seems to be a little bit linear. And the middle of the fragrance is kind of a very interesting mix of cumin and leather. Now, cumin is usually a spice. We don't smell that a lot in fragrances at all. The only fragrance I know of that uses the note of cumin is Carterel, which is kind of an old fougere fragrance, a little bit of a fougere, and it's classic and it's beloved really. So if you love Carterel and wanted something higher quality, this is definitely one that you need to hear more about and hear about. But this fragrance is a retro fragrance. This fragrance isn't for just the older crowd. It can be pulled off and loved by somebody like me who's in their mid-20s. So you get a really interesting kind of floral kind of top that really quickly dissipates and blends with that cumin and leather feel. You get a little bit of warmth, not really from amber, but there are some resins going on. There seems to be the tiniest bit of spice, but this fragrance isn't a spicy fragrance. As the fragrance dries down, lingers on your skin over time, you'll notice that the background with the cumin had a bit of smokiness behind it. It's not a lot of smokiness, but the smokiness really does begin to make itself more apparent over time as the leather and the cumin lose a little bit of their potency and their smell. So in the dry down, in the later stages of this fragrance, after 4 hours or so, you get a little bit of that more smokiness, and the fragrance seems to have a little bit of just that warmth lingering on, and the spices are still hanging on, by a thread, just a tiny bit of spice. So, and the leather here is a very interesting leather. It's not suede, so it's not like fresh or soft, and it's not a harsh leather. It's not a dark leather, or leather with bite from like Tuscan leather by Tom Ford. It's kind of just a transparent leather, if I could say that at all. But it does give the fragrance a little bit of interesting complexity. So overall, it's slightly spiced, complex, different fragrance. It's resinous. It's a little bit smoky. It definitely, in my opinion, leans on the masculine side. So this fragrance is really interesting. It's very different. That cumin note is something that I think is going to be very divisive. It's going to be very polarizing. Just like Gucci Guilty, if you don't love patchouli and leather a lot, that could put you off with that fragrance. If you don't like cumin, you won't love this fragrance. But the way the cumin is used and the quality of the cumin is just so interesting, and it's just so different in this fragrance. It really does something for me. So this fragrance, I think, is for the middle-aged man. I think this is one you have to be 25 plus to appreciate. So let's talk about the compliment factor then. It's definitely more for a middle-aged man, in my opinion, and that's kind of the vibe it's going to give off. It's going to give a vibe of maturity, perhaps a little bit of classiness, but I think this fragrance is a little bit rugged. If you like vintage Dior Fahrenheit, if you like Gucci Guilty Absolute, if you like very masculine fragrances, this is one I think that you really should try. If you like Carterel, if you like nutmeg and fragrances, this cumin is going to give you a similar feel. So if you're a nutmeg fan and some of those classic fragrances, and you wanted, a niche fragrance, something higher quality, something different and still nostalgic, something still kind of in your world of fragrances, this is a great one. And it's just a wonderful fragrance. I haven't gotten bad attention or bad, responses from this fragrance, but on a date night, or if you're trying to make an impression as a younger guy, again, definitely kind of in the party scene, I don't think this fragrance is for you. I think this is for perhaps a stoic man, or a very serious man, or a guy who's just a rugged individual. He calls his own shots and he does his own thing. So this is a great fragrance. I do suggest it, but again, you gotta know you gotta know yourself and your own taste. So let me know in the comments below if this fragrance sounds interesting to you at all. I know this is a different kind of fragrance for a different person. I know this is the kind of review that isn't going to appeal to everybody. It's not going to win me any awards. It's not going to get hyped. It's not going to go viral. But I did want to make this review. So perhaps, just like I have before, if this is a fragrance that really speaks to you, I hope you get to hear about it, and it's something you get to try. And of course, Carlen, I think, is a newer brand, or a brand that hasn't gotten a lot of attention. And even though I'm not sponsored or supported by them in any way, I'm glad that I can give them a little bit of a shout out. So this has been the review at the Centaur Fragrance channel of Men of Blame by Carlen Parfums. Let me know what you think about this fragrance, this review. Let me know how I'm doing. I would love to get your input and your feedback, as always, at the Centaur Fragrance channel. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this review. And again, like, comment, subscribe, especially if you've gotten to this point. Hit that notification bell. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for being here at the Centaur Fragrance channel. I'll see you guys and gals next time. Bye.